Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Northern Affinity live video. I'm delighted to just around branding. So I do have some questions for Claire that I'm going to come, but it's very much open to anybody who's watching this. Hopefully, if you're watching it live, feel free to stick a question or a comment into the comments box on whatever platform you're watching on it. Or as well, I appreciate that a number of people do watch this kind of after the live event. So if you put the comments still in the boxes, I can pass them on to Claire as well. So we'll come to that in a second, but probably a good place to start. Claire, do you want to just kind of briefly introduce yourself and who you are and why we're talking about branding, I guess?
Sure, thanks, Mike. I'm Clare Froggatt from Brew. I'm a branding expert. Well, that's the position that I've built my brand towards. I've worked in the design, marketing, creative sector for over 25 years, and I niched into branding because it's where my passion lies. That's what I love to do, and I love to help people understand more about branding and what it is and how they can build theirs up. So if you've got any questions, please feel free. If I can't answer them today for you, then I will come back to your comments, no problem.
Perfect. Thanks, Claire. So I'm going to ask a really simple question. I know you'll probably been asked a lot of times to start with. It's a good place to start. Is branding a logo?
No. A logo is just one part of a logo, of a brand, sorry. It is the most prominent part of a brand because it's the most visible. If you think Apple, McDonald's, everywhere you see a logo, it's used in lots of places. It can be profile images on social media. It can be signage outside shops. It's there on websites. So that's one of the biggest things people mistake. A big part of a brand is the logo and the visual identity, but it is not just that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things. It's like I said, it's the front, it's the sign outside the shop, isn't it? Type of thing. But it's not what the brand is. So
it's the most visible, yeah.
Yeah, so I think branding is a really interesting subject. Because I know for me, I've been running my own business now, going on 5 years, and I think it's one of those areas that I had very little appreciation or knowledge of before I started a business. And while I'm certainly not an expert in any way, shape, or form, I appreciate its value now. And that's taken a little while to get to. Do you think that's quite a common experience for a lot of people?
I think so, yeah, because when you start off in business, you're very good at the thing that you do or the thing that you know. You've got an idea of what you're wanting to build, and marketing, branding, sales, operations, finance, there's so many different hats you have to wear as a business owner that if they're not your area of knowledge, it can be really overwhelming. So a lot of people mistake the fact that branding's marketing. Now, they work hand in hand. If you think of the good old fire triangle of sales, marketing, and branding, they've worked very closely together and they help support each other, but they are different things. So I think more businesses, as they grow and establish, or if people enter their own business from a background of being in a business that's had a brand strategy as well as a marketing strategy, and the things are all singing and dancing together, then they're in a better position. But that's my mission, is to educate people about brand and how it can help them build their business quicker and be more long-standing. The brand is something that can last for a long, long time, and you can damage it in a second, but building it can take a long, long time.
Oh, absolutely, and I think so. One of the things that I had a quote recently, which was a totally different context to branding, but it made me think about. I think this actually sums up. And you bear with me on this. It kind of what branding is. So probably most people may have heard the quote is that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. It's quite a common quote to kind of talk about kind of interpersonal connections. I actually think that is very relevant to branding. That good brands that really stick in our minds, it's not about really what they're saying. It's probably not even how they look, but it's how they make us feel. So whether that's when we walk into a McDonald's on the other side of the world, we feel reassured, we feel comfortable because it feels like the McDonald's that we're used to. Or if we wear a pair of Nike trainers, we feel reassured by that for the quality or whatever it might be. It might be when driving a Mercedes car, you feel you've got that. And that, to me, that sums up branding. Love to know your thoughts on that.
It's definitely a part of it. And the trend for quite some time now and for the foreseeable future is that brands have to be more customer focused. So it's how you deliver the brand experience or what your product or service is to those customers. So I've been doing a lot of content promotion and education lately about customer journey and customer experience. So people will often make more noise about when they've had a bad experience, like the case in point with me at the minute is one of the energy companies. Now, I'm not going to specifically say who they are, but the way they've handled me as a customer from day one, and the probably small things that they've done wrong, but the adding up of them and their promise to do something, make a phone call, do an action, and then them letting me down on it has actually damaged their brand in my mind. They are not the company they say that they are. They're not what they say they're going to be, and then they've not got the integrity that I thought they had. So if you switch that the other way around, if you don't want customers or your client base to feel those negative feelings and think about you in that kind of way, then they're the things that you need to focus on. It's about having integrity and doing what you say you're going to do, and being present and being consistent and being communicating on the right level, because we're all customers to somebody and we like to be treated in a different way. And it is about feelings. If you feel let down or you feel disappointed, you then have those negative things towards the brand. But if you feel like you've bought a quality product, like the world's gone mad on these Ninja cookers at the minute. So the Ninja brand is really strong because lots of the customers are saying how fantastic these things are. And then you can get the vacuums and the knife set comes out and the pan set comes out, and they're really capitalizing on their brand awareness and the customer base's passion for their brand.
No, absolutely. And I know kind of obviously both of us have kind of mentioned a couple of brand there. So for me, as an expert in this area, what's the building blocks of a great brand, and maybe some of the good examples that you can think of that probably we all know and have heard of?
Well, you everywhere starts with foundations. So if you were building a house, you wouldn't build a house without foundations, because it's not going to stand a long test of time. It won't stand up to the storms we've had recently, for sure. Another analogy I use is an iceberg. So the bit under the water is the most powerful part of it. So your strategy, so who you are, what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, is really key. If you are clear on that and have clarity of what your purpose is and why you do things and who you do it for, who your customer is and how your customers buy from you, they are the absolute foundations of building your brand. Lots of companies start off and they don't have that. So you can implement it retrospectively, but if you can start off on the right footing and start with a strategy first and know what you're building and how you're going to build it and who it's for and how they're going to approach you and what they want to see, you can get your messaging, the building blocks of messaging and your visual identity. So what tangible items, and that's the bit above the water from the iceberg, or it might be the curtains and the window frames and the decor if you're building a house. So we all have the same tools available to us, but it's the cocktail, if you like, of how we pull them together that makes our business different and stand out, or that's where we should be trying to differentiate to attract the right customers. So people who do that really well, I go back to Apple, one of the bigger ones, or Amazon's shopping experience and what they started in the book market 20 odd years ago has now developed into most people's go-to point for, like this week, I've bought some pencils for a board game I'm going to be playing at a party in a few weeks. I've bought some things for the dog. Amazon's just there, and we're in this on-demand marketplace now. The likes of Netflix have driven that. We don't go to a video shop anymore, or we don't wait for anything. We watch when we want to watch. We listen when we want to listen. And the shopping, a lot of other supermarket or retail brands have also followed the Amazon line, like Argos. You can now order same day from them. It's how we, as smaller businesses and in service-based businesses, how can we facilitate that customer need for getting things immediately, so you can serve information in a quicker way. You can have better ways of navigating websites or resources that you can give people so they can find out the information of how they can work with you or what the benefits to them are of buying your product or service. You've got to be aware of the whole world and how the people want things delivered now, and how do they want it, and see how you can bring that back towards your business. And there might be small changes, but just do things consistently and be there all the time.
Yeah, well, I think we've had a comment here from Neil about, and I think you've just said the word consistency there, and I think this is kind of what Neil's alluding to as well, isn't it? We're doing what it says on the tin first time every time. That's kind of it's a very good description of consistency and how important that is within, you know, having an effective and strong brand.
Yeah, definitely. So it's the same tone of voice, the way that people answer the phone if it's more than just yourself. It's the way that your visual identity or that logo, the people that people misconceive to be the brand, it's got to be the same on every social media platform, on every website, on your uniforms, on your stationery, on your emails, everything like that. That's part of the brand consistency and the tangible delivery, but it's also about how you deliver your service to people and how fast you respond, or the way you respond, or the type of words you use. Some businesses are very technical and the language is technical. For example, professional services, they can't use chatty, friendly language in the content of what they're delivering, but the way it's wrapped and enveloped can be very friendly and delivered in a way that's right for their brand.
Absolutely, and thank you for that, Neil. And we've had a question from Maya as well. So an interesting point. Would you say branding might be personalizing to people's emotions more now, I guess, compared to branding in the past?
I think that more companies are awake to their ideal customer. So if you're clear on who your ideal customer is, that customer will then feel like your messaging is personalized towards them because you've really niched it down and targeted them. So whilst the wider audience will get the benefit of your clear communication or how you're presenting your solutions to their problems or making their life better, because ultimately that's what every business does. You either save, make, or improve something. But the clearer you are on your ideal customer and how you message that customer gives that feeling of personalization, because a business can't personalize unless they know that they're already a customer.
Absolutely. And Neil's asked a really interesting question, I think, as well. I made a point and kind of alluded that a bit to myself earlier. And I know that this is kind of one of the lessons I've learned is, so in your experience, how much time do new startup business owners spend in getting a fancy logo designed compared to the time actually spent understanding and developing a brand? Do you think that's quite a very common mistake? And I've made that mistake, Neil. I'll hold hand up.
I think it is because the logo and the branding is the most tangible part of the branding of the business. And I've seen people that have started off with they've typed a word that the name is John Smith & Co, for example, and they've just typed it. Now that will work fine for that company as long as they use it consistently until they're in a place where they've got a budget to do something properly, where they understand who they are, what they do, who they do it for, and how they do it, and what makes them different from everybody else that does what they do or says they do what they do. So we all start somewhere, and until you learn that you can tailor things so they're going to be either more successful or fit yourself, your company and your business better, because one size doesn't fit all, then you don't know. So starting off with something, you've got a fancy brand designed and a nice logo and something. So if you use it consistently, where people go wrong, for example, is maybe doing the wrong colour. I always give this as an example. A funeral director would not use or should not use pillar box red. It's the wrong colour for the service and the market and what they offer. But that doesn't mean to say they can't use red. It's getting the right. If you went more crimson, like red wine, you can get that right balance of what the colour should be for that company. But you have to deal with business owners who are different. Some of them, they trust you to do what you do and to guide them, and others have a clear idea of what they want. So you try and educate them that, yes, you can use red, but we have to get the right tone of red, or we have to have the right font so people can read it and people can see it and understand it, and it'll work on your embroidery as well as on a website. So you just have to work with the customers that you have and guide them. Sometimes people are really stuck in what they want, and no matter how much you tell them that what they want isn't going to work as well as it could, that's their decision to make. Ultimately, they're the business owner, they're the ones with the purse strings. But hopefully most times my clients do understand because I explain why, and that's really key.
Well, absolutely. And, if you're going to pay for someone to be the expert and do it, then kind of, you might not take everything they do, but at least listen to their opinion and work on it. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? No, that's really great point. And thank you for the question as well, Neil. So we've kind of touched a little bit on brand values. Do you want to just kind of elaborate a little bit more detail what brand values are and how they're important when it comes to branding?
Yeah. Well, the values, if you go back to personally, we all have different ways of doing things and approaching things. And you can, especially if you're a smaller business or a sole trader, you very much bring your personal values into the business and the brand values. Whereas for a business, it has to be based around the people that are running the business or are making the decisions. What are the values of that company? For example, one of mine's collaboration. And that works well in business as well as in my personal life and how I operate. Doing things together makes things easier, or working together with people brings different ideas and different angles and different aspects to things. Another one of my values is being friendly, or to explain things. I always have analogies for things, because when you don't understand things, it's really frustrating and it's really confusing, and you have more questions and it makes you feel awkward, and that's not how a customer should be made to feel. So I like to explain things and simplify things down. I call it, if Homer Simpson can understand it, then you're on the right tracks. So they are things that most businesses could use, and a lot of businesses will have similar values in the way they treat customers or the way that they deliver the service. If you think about big companies like Mercedes, you mentioned before, they're big on quality, or people that push their engineering, it's about quality. Rolex watches, you expect them to be really good quality, and you pay a high price ticket, but they come in nice packaging, you get nice support service, you get all the warranties, you get, if anything goes wrong with it, we'll pick it up and we'll take it back. You get that extra service level that backs up that position that they offer. One of the values is quality.
Oh, absolutely, that makes sense. And I think from what you're saying, a lot of it always comes back to consistency as well.
It
That's the
does.
one and that's the other thing, isn't it? Like, everyone has different budgets, and what you can do visually is going to differ. It's easy for Mercedes or McDonald's or whoever to have amazing visual impact. It's not so much for most small businesses, we know. But again, it's about that consistency. When some people see something, it might be colours, it might be imagery. If they can relate it back to you, that's the most important thing. Would you say that? Like I said, we'd all love an unlimited budget to be able to, like a McDonald's and a Mercedes, but we don't. So it's,
if you've not got a big budget, or you've got a lot of things to do with the budget you've got, the best thing to do is to keep things simple. So if your logo or your brand identity has a certain font and certain colours, maybe one or two or three, then always use those one or two or three colours. Keep things spaced out. Just because you have space, you don't have to fill it. Less is often more, so you can use the different techniques of things like that. So you might need to work with a designer. There's several good designers and good brand people in the Northern Affinity. I work with them. It's all about collaboration, and that's one of the things I like about the way that the Northern Affinity is set up. So you can always find somebody that can help you with some pointers. They might create some templates for you, and then you can go on and create things yourself. They might give you some guidelines. If you don't have brand guidelines, a simple way of doing that is the rules of the game. If you were going to play a game of football, or you were going to play a board game, you know what you can do and what you can't do, and the things that you're trying to achieve. Bringing that back to business, decide what you're trying to achieve, what's the goal, what you're going to do, and what are you not going to do. So one font or two fonts, two or three colours. Does it have an image? Yes or no? Does the image have people in it? Yes or no? You can make yourself a little rule book so that you can keep your image and your brand positioning in all the visuals and all the tangibles and all the things that you do, you can keep them consistent. And that's quite cheap to do. It's not very expensive. You might spend an hour with somebody that's going to create some templates, and then you can go away and hopefully you'll generate income off the back of those, and then you might have a bigger budget to spend on getting things done for you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Claire. So I just wanted to finish off. Snap, Crackle and Pop. Tell us all about it. I know everyone will be thinking, what on earth am I talking about?
Right, where's this gone? This is a tangent, but yeah, Snap, Crackle and Pop is a collaboration that myself, Laura Norman of Chroma Marketing, and Lucille Moore from Brand Photography are all members of the Northern Affinity. And as I said before, it's about collaboration. Each of us decided during a one-to-one we were having that we all offer a pocket-sized consultancy session on our expert area. So mine's branding, and Laura's is marketing, and Lucille's is photography and branded images. And we thought, I wonder if we could pull these together and we could help more people come out with a more rounded solution. So Snap is the pictures, Crackle is the marketing, the noise and the shouting about what you do, and the Pop is making your brand pop so it's recognizable and it stands out. So the idea of the Snap, Crackle and Pop session is 3 businesses at a time will sit down with myself, Lucille and Laura, and then we'll rotate throughout a day. I think we're working with the Northern Affinity. We're going to be launching it on the 17th of March at the partners meeting. And for 350 quid, thereabouts, you will get some branded imagery, direction on how you can use it, how you can build your brand going forward, and it's worth at least 10 times that. But we want to help more people, and we want to give people an idea of the things that they can do with having the knowledge and a little bit of direction.
Perfect, Claire. I've put the link to that, more details in the comments for people. If anyone for whatever reason missed that, I can't find it, just give me a shout here, or I'll speak to Claire and we'll point you in the right direction. So again, finally, just Claire, if people do want to contact you and find out more about you and what you're doing, where's the best places to go?
Makeabrew.co.uk, the website. There's loads of content on there. You can find me on LinkedIn. I share a vlog every week about a different aspect of branding and how you can use tips and tools to develop your business. Or just drop on the website and book a brew. Let's have a chat if you've got anything specific in mind. I'm happy to talk to any business owner. It's always good to get different ideas and the way people think, and if they've got a problem, hopefully I can help them.
Brilliant, Claire. Well, firstly, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And hopefully it's kind of help people. And like I said, I would advise anyone who wants to kind of understand more, or just speak to Claire or anyone in branding. It's such an important thing. Like I said, it's something I've seen a big benefit from over the last few years. We're kind of, like I said, by no means an expert, but understand it more. And I think working with someone who can help you with that is really, really, really beneficial for any business looking to grow. So yeah, thank you very much, Claire, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Claire.
Cheers.